This is the first video in a series that's titled, It's Not a Left-Right Debate, It's an Ideological Debate Between Collectivism and Individualism. That, folks, is what I see as the real battlefront. Now, when it comes to political labels and terminology, there are a litany of words ascribed to political attitudes. Folks are often identified as conservatives, liberals, libertarians, progressives, left-wingers, right-wingers, socialists, communists, Maoists, Trotskyites, Fascists, Nazis. And for those of you thinking that's not nearly enough labels, today we also have neoconservatives, neo-Nazis, and neo-whatever you prefer. So, when asked about how we identify politically, we're expected to identify with one of these labels. If we don't have a strong political opinion, or if we're afraid of making a bad or wrong choice, or in other words, a politically incorrect one, then we play it safe and we say, we're independents or moderates, adding yet two more labels to this ever-ending list. Social norms and religious beliefs frequently divide along the left-right political axis. For example, in the United States, the Democratic Party is home for the left, like the Liberals, NDP, and Greens are in Canada, while the Republican Party is home for the right, like the Conservatives and PPC in Canada. As a rule, those on the left are more likely to embrace lifestyles that those on the right would consider improper, or dare I say it, sinful, while those on the right are more likely to be associated with belonging to an organized religion or worship. But these are not ironclad definitive values because there is a great deal of overlap. After all, there are conservatives who smoke pot, and there are actually some liberals who attend church. Therefore, social, religious, or lifestyle values alone cannot be included in any meaningful definition of these groups. No one can clearly define the ideology that any of these labels represent. They are used primarily to impart a sense of either goodness or badness, depending on who uses the label and what emotions those labels trigger in their individual minds. That's why most political debates sound so incoherent, because everyone speaks a different language. The words may sound familiar, but speakers and listeners each have their private definitions and labels. For example, take the word equality and equity, two different meanings, folks. And you'll find that in those rare cases where the definitions can be mutually agreed upon, most of the disagreements come to an end. As a result, to the astonishment of those who thought they were bitter ideological opponents, they often find they share some core beliefs. For example, the freedom movement in the last 3 years has brought together folks who normally would not be coming together. Can you see why, given the cultural moment we're in, those who profit from division so dearly want to weaponize these words? That's exactly why we need to throw out these useless labels and words. If we have any hope of making sense of the political masters that wish to dominate our nations today, if we have any chance of emerging victorious against them, we must first not allow our thinking to be contaminated by the emotional stigma of their vocabulary. Once you do this, you'll be surprised to learn that most of the political debates of our time, at least those in Western nations and Western world, can be divided into just two worldviews. That's it. All the rest are just mere distractions, with their aim being to focus your attention and efforts on whether a particular action should be taken based on its predicted outcome. The real issue, however, is not the outcome of the action, but the ethical code that justifies or forbids that action regardless of the outcome. At its core, it's a battle between the ethics of collectivism and individualism. Those words have profound meaning, and they represent an ideological divide wider than the Grand Canyon. At the outset, you may be surprised to learn that what's common to both collectivists and individualists is that most of them are well-intentioned. I know, surprising. They want the best life possible for their families, for their fellow countrymen and women, and even for all mankind. Both groups are seeking prosperity and justice for their fellow men. But while they may agree on outcomes, it's how to achieve them that creates the stark difference between the two of them. Over the next month in future videos, I'll unpack the differences between collectivists and individualists and how each one of them handles perceived challenges and problems in totally opposite ways, and as a result, how these things have impacted the world we're living in. Anyway, I thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. Please share your comments and thoughts on this. You can always follow me on my Rumble, on my Locals account. I am also on Twitter now at Camera612. And like I said, I will be dropping some more videos. I'll kind of talk about the core aspects of this. And in each area, I'll delve into how a collectivist sees that approach and how they handle it, and how an individualist approach happens. And I'm hoping that by the end of the various ones that I'm going to unpack for you, it's going to make a lot more sense. And you will realize this liberal conservative label is perhaps meaningless, because there are people that are ideologues or that think either collectively or individually in both camps. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Take care.